This is kind of a preemptive strike on today's program. Yes, the payroll is going to $100 million. I've reported this repeatedly. I'm reporting it again today before I get into a semi-pseudo-related discussion. Good morning to you. Good Thursday morning. I'm Dejan Kovacevic of DK Pittsburgh Sports. This is Daily Shot of Pirates. It comes your way bright and early every weekday. If you're into football and or hockey, I also offer daily shots of Steelers and Penguins in the same place that you found this. With the baseball club having a baseball first baseman, at least in their minds, in Spencer Horwitz, and with Horwitz having 5 years of control remaining, and if you don't know what that is, just the first 6 years you're in the majors, your rights are controlled by the team that wants to control them. Simple as that. And Horwitz was a rookie this past season in Toronto, so he burned one of those. He's got 5 left. So out of those 6 total, your first 3, the team can pay you anything they want. And the way all teams handle that is it's really close to minimum wage. You get like these really pathetic little incremental increases. And then the last 3 years of that, you're arbitration eligible, but you're still under the team's control. So Horwitz arrives at what would be, this is hypothetical, a bargain, meaning if he's good. Now, given Ben Cherington's ability to identify hitting, the odds are against this young man, but you know, whatever, just go with it. If he's your starting first baseman, now I'm bringing you back to just this current and ongoing off season, then you still have plenty of money with which to do shopping. You do not have to do anything to get more money. And in fact, I confirmed yesterday for about the billionth time, actually, and I've lost count. But yes, in fact, they do have that money. And if you go over what the needs are, and if you use the word need in its most literal sense, it's not a super long list. I don't mean to make the roster sound stronger and deeper than it is, but when I'm using the word need, I'm pointing to, well, what had been first base, what still might be first base, who knows, and right field. And I think it's also safe to include bullpen in there as well after losing Aroldis Chapman and whatever uncertainties would still be surrounding David Bednar. And seeing as how the team hasn't added payroll yet this offseason, actually it's subtracted, you're probably still eyeballing a gap of around 30 million plus between where the Pirates would be at the moment and where they'll be when they get to 100 million. And that'll get you a whole lot of baseball player. It just will. And to my mind, the bulk of that money should go to right field. Now, that doesn't mean you have to go running to the free agency lists and see who's available or whatever, because as was just illustrated, there are lots of different ways to acquire position players. It doesn't just have to be going off the same list that everybody else is. You can make trades, you can move prospects, you can move an established starting pitcher like the Pirates just did with Luis Ortiz, the most valuable commodity in the sport, by the way. And yeah, you can do free agency. You can build yourself a platoon if you believe in that sort of thing. Create yourself kind of a Frankenstein at the position. And I can't imagine that whatever that right fielder is, if it's more than one person, if it's one guy or whatever, that it's going to cost you more than $20 million a year. And that still leaves you about $10 million or so with which to find some relief help. Relievers are funny. If you're a closer and you have the sexiest stat of all, that being, of course, the saves, you'll get paid at some incredible level. But the drop-off from there to the next tier is unlike anything in the sport. You can be an absolutely superb eighth inning guy, and you're not going to get much. So if if you like to think, and I certainly would because he's a great kid, that Bednar's going to bounce back and still be your closer in 2025, then those guys aren't going to cost much either. In fact, you can get a whole bunch of them and just throw them against the wall and see who sticks, which is generally not a bad way to build a pen anyway. Cherington was asked yesterday by DK Pittsburgh Sports reporter Jose Negron in Dallas if not having to spend much on Horwitz will have a positive impact on his offseason.
Yeah, one of the things aside from believing that we've upgraded the offensive group, I think another thing we liked about the deal was that we feel like it pretty much keeps as many options open for us as possible. Doesn't really close us off to anything. So that was another aspect that appealed to us.
That wasn't a no. And you know what? If the kid can play first base, if he becomes the first outside acquisition, really other than Joey Bart, to show anything that he can hit under this management team, great. And you've got him for quite a while without having to bust up the other things that you need. When we come back, J1Q.
It's Gun Storage Check Week. Help prevent unwanted access to your firearms. No one wants their unsecured gun to be used in an accident, a suicide, or a crime. Use lockboxes, safes, and locks to secure your firearms. Learn more at gunstoragechek.org. That's gunstoragechek.org. Brought to you by NSSF, the Firearm Industry Trade Association.
Abandoned ship, Bob. Sell the team. Are you a Pirates fan who is angry or apathetic about our perennial losing baseball team? Do you feel helpless because you don't know how to make a difference? Well, good news. We have something you can do about it. Join our Sell the Team movement. We're a group of passionate fans voicing our frustration and demanding change through billboard campaigns, press outreach, protests, and involvement at local city government meetings. Go to OurTeamNotHis.com to get involved.
Today's J1Q comes from Rob, who says DK starting pitching is the most valuable commodity. I realized this question was going to have a phrase that I'd use in the opening segment. The most valuable commodity in baseball, and yet the Pirates chose to trade a 4 or 5 starter plus 2 pitching prospects for a rookie first baseman. And Rob puts rookie in quotes because I'm assuming Spencer Horwitz is 27 years old. Isn't this the type of behavior that we would expect from Ben Cherington in his desperation year, and why he shouldn't have been retained? Why trade a promising starting pitcher for a first baseman with little over half a season in the majors, let alone a starting pitcher with 6 years of control for a rookie with 6 years, and throw in 2 prospects? I did say on yesterday's show, Rob, that I'm not prepared at all to examine the trade. I'm not going to be a guy who gets you in-depth breakdowns on the numbers 16 and 18 prospects in the Pirates system, which is not, by the way, a great system, ranked 27th in the majors by Baseball America. I'm not crazy about giving up Ortiz. I'll tell you that. I'm not. He made some serious strides through the 2024 season. And I've been of the consistent belief, not just post-trade, that this management team has undervalued Ortiz. Not just his stuff, not just his results, but this is a big boy. This is someone who has that horse-type frame that you want in a rotation. Remember that the single most important statistic through which to measure a starting pitcher, it's not ERA, it's not anything fancy, it's innings pitched. Show me the guys in baseball, the top 5 guys in innings pitched, and I will show you every single year your Cy Young candidates. Luis is big, strong, and durable, and that's a tough thing to see walk away. I don't care what it is that you already have or what it is that you think you have coming. Now, is it worth sending Luis out in this circumstance if this guy coming in is legitimately your first baseman? Not a platoon guy, not a project or whatever, but your actual regular lineup every day first baseman. I'd make that trade 100 times out of 100. So do you see why I'm saying I don't want to get into, because there's just too much that we don't know, including about Luis. And of course the prospects too. I don't tend to fuss as much over prospects the way some people do. But for any of this to, make sense, much less be something that you can, fairly look at, you've got to see what the first baseman is. You've got to see if Horwitz is a real live player, because as you put it, he's kind of old to have rookie status or prospect status. He's really old for prospect status. And he's barely been in the majors, and you can say what you want about him being blocked by Vlad Jr. up in Toronto, but, you will find a way, if you can play, to make it onto somebody's roster. You just will. I appreciate the question. I appreciate everybody listening to Daily Shot of Pirates. We're going to do another one of these tomorrow.